All right, you guys are unmuted.
One minute, we'll get the show started, folks.
The
Show started. Could we do roll call, please?
Janat,
Here.
Markey,
Here.
Nye, here, Roloff,
There.
Sauer,
Here.
Craig, here. Everybody's
Would you
present.
stand for the invocation, please? Gary, if you would.
Gracious God, as we come before you today to discuss important matters, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to focus on our community and be thankful for all our blessings. In your name I pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we move for approval of the agenda, I'd like to suggest that we take action after the interviews at our May 13th meeting in the morning. Is there any objection to that? Okay, hearing none, I'd look for approval of the agenda.
Now I move to approve as presented.
Thank you.
Sauer seconds.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. First public input. Would anybody like to say anything? If not, Mr. Clark, I believe that you're the first one up. Would you join us at the podium, please? And just to set the stage for you, we have prepared 12 questions in advance. Each commissioner is going to be asking you 2 questions. I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask a commissioner to ask one of the 2 questions. Take them in order, if you would, please. And then we'll open that up to any follow-up as a result of your answers. Okay? Because we want to be consistent in the questions that we actually ask of everybody that comes through. And then at the end, if there's any additional questions, we can ask you to field them then. And then you'll have an opportunity to close for us, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so Katie, unless there's an objection to it, I'm gonna start with Gary or is there anything you want to say?
I'm gonna just move the podium since I think there are folks. People can see you.
Sorry.
So Gary, you take question 1, Tim, question 2, and then we'll come back around.
Okay. The first question we have is, why does a position on the county Board of Commissioners appeal to you?
Well, I've been a citizen of Inland Township for 9 years now. And I've been involved with the local politics of the township, planning commission, board of review.
Could I interrupt you, Jim?
Sir,
You're very soft spoken. Can you lean into that microphone
Okay.
so people remotely can hear you?
gotcha. As I said, I was the chair of the planning commission for Inland Township, the chair for the board of review, and also zoning board of appeals. I've done work with the county also. I'm the chair of the conservation district. I've served on the building authority here, finishing off the Maples project, and also the planning commission here before it was disbanded. I have a strong desire to serve, and with this positioning opening up, it seems like a good opportunity to have some input on a county level, not just the township level.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Tim, if you'd field number 2, please.
Certainly, please tell us about your public service and volunteer background and how it relates to this appointment.
I guess I kind of answered some of that.
the question.
That's right. I'm also involved with the Traverse City Botanical Gardens. I'm currently working with them on their new barn renovation, Barn 206. That's a consulting service, but I'm also what they call a possum, which we handle, shall we say, mature gentlemen mostly gentlemen. There's a couple ladies there of a certain age that we go and do whatever needs to be done, from planting trees to cutting grass to do whatever maintenance work is needed. I also was working with a township, or the Traverse City Friendly Garden Club, in their development of the children's sensory garden at the same location. And we're going to have a grand opening in August. Also, I was the manager of the warehouse for the Traverse City Film Festival before it ended its run. So volunteerism has been in my blood. Actually, my father was a volunteer into his 80s, and he stopped doing that because mother had Alzheimer's, couldn't handle it. And I've been a Cub Scout leader, Cub master. So volunteerism is kind of in my blood.
Any follow-up questions? If not, Bob, would you take number 3, please?
Three, sure. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
What is your understanding of the role of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to the functions of Benzie County?
Well, I've worked closely with Evan Worsecki and understand the challenges that.
That might be good or bad.
Well, sorry. Well, yeah, we have a friendship going, and I certainly understand the good side and maybe the questionable side. But planning for the future is really a key point, and not just our generation, but next generations coming. I think a view of what's needed, what could happen, what could come, and taking a long, hard look at developments within the county. One of the things that listening to the economic development group, trying to make an image of the county as not just being a subdivision or sub group of Traverse City or Grand Traverse County, trying to really strengthen that view of what this county could be or should be, and also taking it down to the local level of Inland Township and Colfax, bringing them together to really help out with whatever comes to be zoning or blight. Blights have become a real issue of the townships.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, Rhonda.
I follow up on one question. You
Please.
brought up blight.
Yes.
Do you see that as a county function or a township?
Well, it's actually a township function, but I think the townships need assistance. They need guidance on how's the best way to approach blight and implementation. I know in our township, we have an ordinance that says that individuals can have outdoor storage. That has been, I don't know what the best word for it is pushed around to a point where people say, well, it's just outdoor storage. And yet some areas it's obvious that it's blight, and there's been issues with that. So really tying into ordinances and giving some guidance, I think, as a county, could be a county push to really give some assistance in formatting those ordinances.
If I could, I'd like to do a follow-up then to your response to Gary. So you're well aware, Jim, that in 2010, the county punted away zoning and planning, and it was a hardship on the townships. So if you see the county's role as, this is my word, not yours, but kind of like conveners to help them through some of these processes, do you think that would be accepted well? Or do you think they'd consider that to be interfering in their business?
I think in certain areas it would be considered interference, but I think blight might be a big thank you. Because that's one of those hot potatoes that really, I don't think anybody really wants to deal with. Well, they may want to deal with it, but they don't know how to. And so I think the county can give some, hopefully some substantial advice on how to write up the ordinances and create some sort of mechanism to enforce that. Because enforcement's probably the biggest issue of what do you do? How do we do it? How best to get around that, and working with the citizens to realize that it's an important issue.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other follow-up questions? Linda?
Very good. My question prepared for you is, what is your understanding of the role of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to the functions of local townships, villages, and the city?
Well, right now, as the individual commissioners go to the township board meetings, they report out what's going on with the county commissioners. I don't know, I've been to a few of the county commissioner meetings over the years. I'm not sure there's enough reporting back to the county commissioners of what's going on individually in some of the townships. Maybe there is, but I haven't really heard that many. I think that open communication would be a plus to feedback on both sides, not just reporting to the township boards that what's going on here, but to hear more of what can we do to support the boards and the townships and villages and city. And
Any follow-up questions? Christie?
Hi there.
good morning.
What are your goals for your service to Benzie County?
Well, what I'd like to see is Benzie County becoming not a stepchild to Grand Traverse County, to have its own face and own identity. I think we're in a good position to do that. There's many areas of strength that I see that maybe need some advertising, and to let people know. I mean, we certainly have a strong vacationing area. That's kind of a fluctuation as far as seasons go, but we've got strong medical support, and the Maples project, the hospital in Frankfurt. I think Frankfurt is trying to put their name on the map with their own film festival and also their Iron Man project. So, some of the festivals that we have may need some more advertising or a little oomph to them to really put Benzie County on the map.
Any follow-up questions? Can you describe for us your experience with making decisions regarding the budget oversight?
Well, I'm a licensed architect. I've worked on many projects, small projects, 10,000 up to 45 million. One example would be when I was working for the state of Michigan, there was a effort to consolidate employees into state-owned facilities. There was a project that was the key to this consolidation, and that was taking a old liquor warehouse, not so old, very, very fancy liquor warehouse, putting an extra floor on and making it into what was called an operations center, where about 1,500 employees could call home, so to speak. I was not working on that project. I was working on other projects involved in that. And I was curious about this one because it was a key project to the overall Lansing Space Plan, as it was called. The individual that started it out was a colonel in the Army and he decided to retire. Next gentleman who took it over had less than a year with the state, and he lasted about 3 months. My boss decided he was going to try it out. And I was getting kind of nervous because I wasn't really interested in leaving the state at that point. He lasted about 2 months and then came to me and he said that he wanted me to take over the project. That was a $45 million project that I had heard all sorts of issues with. And when I took it over, the big discussion was whether to keep or replace about a $400,000 pump. $400,000 wasn't a minor issue, but in a $45 million project, that's small potatoes, so to speak. The debate was, do we refurbish the old or install a new? I listened to the overall conversation, and at the end I said, how long have you folks been talking about this? Because every 2 weeks we had a construction meeting. It had gone on for a little over 2 months. Nothing else was happening other than this, and everybody was at each other's throat. So I said, look around the table, how much are we spending salary wise? And, everybody said, well, okay. And I said, we're going to replace the pump. After that, we didn't let anything go beyond the meetings. We completed the project ahead of schedule, under budget. So that's key in my approach to budgets.
Any follow-up questions?
Yes, I do.
Please.
How did that go over when you said, okay, this is the direction we're going?
Well, I listened to both concerns. Obviously, the new was pretty cut and dry. I also followed up and asked the question, how long will we get this refurbished pump to work? They said, well, maybe 5-10 years. And I said, how long is the new pump going to last? Well, excuse me, 15-20 years. I said, economics. I said, we could refurbish the pump anyhow and use it. And they said, well, pumps are only good when they're used as pumps. And after that, I think there was appreciation that we didn't belabor issues. We got things taken care of. So there was obviously some concerns, but we worked through that.
Any other follow-ups? Katie, before we turn the corner, anything from you at this point? All right, Gary, could you take number 7, please?
You're gonna get her to read one. Anyway, explain your understanding of the Headley rollback and how it affects operational funding for Benzie County.
So when I graduated from college, it was in the midst of a recession. I had worked at the township water and sewer department during the summers and spring break. And so, excuse me, I had a head cold. And the assessor called me up, said, would you like to come work here? This was back in the 70s, before Headley. So I was well aware I worked there for about 2.5 years doing assessing. So I'm well aware of before Headley. And then after Headley, certainly the changes from taxable to assessed value different. And also I understand on how this affects the overall growth of the tax base, but the tax dollars, the millages roll back. So I fully understand that issue and understand that's a large issue for not only the county, but the townships.
Any follow-up questions on that? Jim?
What do you believe is Benzie County's biggest challenge?
Boy, I think image. I think I think there's an awful lot of strength here, a lot of dedicated people. I've had an opportunity to talk with a number of our citizens in the township. We have an awful lot of individuals that have very strong backgrounds, untapped people that hopefully we can tap into our government, whether it be Traverse.
Stepchild.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions on that? That, Rhonda, would you take 10, please?
Sure. What are your priorities for spending and investment into Benzie County?
well, I think basically, I don't have the full understanding of where our dollars are. And I think, again, pushing into some investment into better understanding of our townships, what their struggles are. Maybe even some investment into advertising of Benzie as a place to visit, to stay, to invest. Also, there's a big issue with employment. Certainly the lack of affordable housing, the lack of workers. I think we've seen an awful lot of signs out that says we're hiring and really trying to find some qualified people. There's some real issues with trying to attract more citizens, more younger folks into the county. How to do that, services. I understand there's a group trying to put an aqua center up the road a bit. I think I'd suggest that we not just invest into a swim or exercise, but also maybe daycare center, maybe senior center, because our population here is growing older. There's more people retiring, like myself, semi-retired. I think adding more services for the younger folks, because I know daycare is a real issue with cost and availability. So if there's something that's available in the area, certainly there's the jobs out there that they could apply for, but to have something affordable for taking care of kids.
Any follow-up questions? Christie?
Sure. Hello again. How would you handle a complaint from a constituent about a service provided by Benzie County staff?
Well, first off, sit down with them and hear them out. Then go talk to the person or supervisor of that person and find out the other side of the story. And then give feedback to the person with the complaint and any suggestion that might come to be as far as what we find out. Certainly wouldn't sweep it under the rug thing, while the person just complains all the time. Try to address it directly.
Any follow-up?
Just one.
Go ahead, Gary.
Our role as county commissioners does not give us the authority to talk to anybody basically but our administrator with issues like that. She would follow up with and because everybody's an elected official, the dynamics are completely different than they would be anywhere else. I mean, if you had a business, yeah, you're gonna follow up and fix the problem. You don't really have that authority. I don't want to point that out.
Sure. Well, I understand, but certainly a follow-up to that person saying, are you okay? Did we answer that question? Is there anything else? I think that would be important, because I know that many times make a phone call, to somebody, and you don't know exactly what's happened. I think a follow-up would be important to make them understand.
It's the important part of our job, so.
Right.
thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Any other follow-ups? If not, Jim, the Board of Commissioners meets twice a month on this second and fourth Tuesday of the month, starting at 9 a.m. We don't try to put a time limit on those meetings. We conduct business until we're done. And then in addition to that, you have district meetings and maybe other meetings that you're assigned to. Can you accommodate those schedules?
Yes.
So follow-up is, and I appreciate the directness of the answer, but do you foresee any obstacles? Are you ever gone during the winter for extended periods of time? Do you have things that you're committed to that could potentially cause you some of your current obligations? What would take priority?
Well, this would, the meetings here would absolutely. On Tuesdays, I have back-to-back meetings on the Benzoni Fire Station Township Hall. But we will be completed with that. They say end of May, probably going to be in June. So yes, that would be no problem. I have Barn 206, which is the Botanical Gardens project that I'm working on. Those meetings are every other Wednesday, so Tuesdays are not a problem. But other than that, I don't go south for the winter. So we're here. And only other time that I'd be gone, hopefully not illness, would be on vacation. But that would be, I'd work those dates out so that I don't miss the meetings.
Certainly.
It's important to make sure we make the meetings and have a quorum.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Any follow-up questions on that? I'm going to come back to you directly in a moment, but do any commissioners have any questions they'd like to add to this discussion?
I have one, but I'm ready to ask.
Gary, all I ask is that you be prepared to ask it to each.
I know you ran for supervisor
Mhm.
and you ran as an independent. Can you enlighten me as to why? And that way I understand how things work. Not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to.
Gary, I don't.
Gary,
That question's.
yeah, I don't mean to
Questions
intervene, but
don't-
I don't think that's appropriate
I
here.
will
It's
pull it.
not
Sorry.
appropriate.
Okay. Won't ask everybody.
Anybody else have any additional questions they'd like to add? Anything that I've walked away from interviews myself, Jim, and I'm thinking, dang, I meant to say that. Or they didn't give me a chance. They didn't ask that question that I thought would make a difference in the interview. Now's your opportunity.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you. I've met with a couple folks and nice to see some new faces. Going through the master plan of Benzie County, a couple things popped out. One is Inland Township is no longer a joint planning commission with the Homestead. That's been gone for about 5 or 6 years. So we are independent. That was highlighted here. Also, there's a couple sections, groundwater and land use challenges for the county in the master plan. And I'd suggest that we get with the conservation district. I'm the chair of that conservation district. And also there have a land use committee, which Rhonda is part of, that are talking same thing. How do we zone? How do we control? How do we keep the water quality? How do we do land value, keeping that up? How do we stay away from a Dollar General and Honor that has torn up wetlands and they put it back together, but all we see are tree stumps. How best to handle that kind of information, how that kind of challenge. Apparently in the honor question, there was a termination a year or so ago that there was a letter from the state that said that is not a buildable site. And yet here we have Dollar General trying to go in and clear this and get into some trouble. So there's been some real discussion on our part, and I think a coordination between the county commissioners and the conservation district would be a strong working together as a team. But I'm excited about the possibility of sitting on the board and look forward to serving if that's what your decisions are.
Great. Go ahead, please.
With the issue over there in Honor. Why wasn't, when they came to get a permit, why wasn't that brought forward? Or who's responsible for that? Knowing that there was a letter, was that from the Eagle that said it was a non-buildable site?
From my understanding, that's what,
That's-
well, that's the issue is why wasn't that front and
Mhm.
center? My understanding is Honor or Homestead Township has a zoning administrator who's actually, I think, Green Lake Township's zoning administrator. Maybe this individual didn't know or understand what that site was because it's pretty obvious even before they started that was a
He
wetland.
illicit issued a land use permit, is that?
Yep.
Wasn't done here at the county, I guess
No,
that's where I'm.
no, no, well, and basically what I've read, the Homestead said, well, we gave them a permit and everything was up and up. And so there's a hole somewhere that we're trying to figure out how best to fill.
Thank you for clearing that up. Well, that's always been confusing
Yeah.
to me what's going on there.
Any questions that comes out as a result of Jim's closing comments? And Jim, I know that you'll indulge us when I tell you that in respect the fact that we're not making a decision today. I respect the fact that you came in and provided us all the paperwork that we asked for. And if there's anything that we can improve in this process, I'd welcome you to contact me.
Sure.
All right?
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Dave, we'll probably get started a little earlier with you, but I'm going to give us a 5-minute break here. If people want to get coffee or something, they can do that.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Be needed.
And you're unmuted.
So you heard the spiel. Do you need me to repeat it or can
No,
I get
thank you.
started?
I got it.
Okay. Tim?
Well, first of all, thank you for coming in. Why does the position of Board of Commissioners appeal to you?
I basically just want to make sure that my district has the proper representation that it wants and deserves. You guys are kind of in a unique position because normally when you're appointing somebody, you don't really know how the public generally feels about them. But in this case, actually, all three of the applicants were just recently on the ballot in that area. I did bring, because I wasn't sure if anybody would have those with them. But it's basically the elections results from November. Tammy, you can verify that I didn't change them. But yeah, just within Inland Township, I received 400 more votes than Mr. Clark, and with those numbers, it would actually only take 6% of Colfax to vote for me to have won that district wide. And just gonna say Marilyn, I can't pronounce her last name without butchering it, but yeah, she also actually ran as county commissioner and received less than 500 votes throughout the district. So I believe I'm more of the person that our area wants to represent the district.
Follow-up questions? If not, Bobby, would you take number 2, please?
Sure.
Did you have a follow-up?
Did he say maybe I just don't see it. What Evan's results were in here?
Page 2,
Page 2?
we're here on the left-hand column.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
Anything else? Gary? All set?
All right. Afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
How are things?
Good.
Good. Please tell us about your public service and volunteer background and how it relates to this appointment.
As far as public service started, that was right after high school when I joined the military. I was there for 11 years before I got injured. Got out, finished college, and then actually even in college, I was working with the VFW and the AMVETS in Burton, Michigan. Went down to San Antonio. Was only there like 3 years, didn't really get too involved with much except for the Wounded Warrior Project, and I still volunteer with them today. I'm the one locally that puts on events for Wounded Warriors to go to. Obviously, I'm a township supervisor, so it's not volunteer work, but sometimes it feels like it. And yeah, I've just been serving my community any way I could for as long as I could, so.
Follow-up questions?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
I do have a follow-up, Dave. So you've had experience at the township level.
Yes.
You've learned that you're working with a variety of personalities. When you think about public service and your experience, how do you work your way through the variety of personalities that you run into?
I mean, yeah, I've definitely came across a wide variety of personalities. For the most part, everybody just wants to be heard and made sure that their points are understood. As long as you can, make sure that you actually understand what they're asking for. Generally, everybody, for the most part, wants the same things. They want an improved community. They want, the better things. And I think a lot of times it's more just lost in translation between the different personalities of how they're saying it. And you can show them that everybody is kind of on the same page, working for the same thing.
Appreciate it. Any other follow-ups? If not, Rhonda, would you take 3, please?
Good morning. What is your understanding of the role of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to the functions of Benzie County?
Obviously the big one is probably the budget. Making it, proving it, monitoring and I don't know how much enforcement you guys have to do, but at the township level, enforcement's a big part of it. Other than that, being a liaison between the county and the townships, being a representative for the people to be able to go to find out information and voice their concerns to the county.
Any follow-up questions? Christie?
What is your understanding of the role of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to the functions of local townships, villages, and the city? I know.
Being a liaison, yeah, I mean, helping out, anytime they have a project or something they need help with, obviously, not just giving guidance, but if it's something that the county itself can help with, bringing it to this board. But for the most part, yeah, just kind of being the go-between between your district and the board.
Follow-up questions? If none, Gary, please, number 5.
What are your goals for your service to Benzie County?
Just like to continue to see the community grow. I don't feel like we're in a bad position as far as where we are as a county. I mean, there's always things to improve. I mean, we're a small town community, and that's why people like Benzie County. So I don't feel like pushing towards a metropolis in any way, or as Mr. Clark said, becoming the stepchild of Grand Traverse, but
Follow-up questions? If not, describe your experience with making decisions regarding budget oversight.
yeah, for the last 3 years, I've done the budget for Inland Township and, got it approved and monitored and enforced it. I've changed a lot in those 3 years. As when I was originally appointed, it was kind of dropped in my lap and be like, oh, by the way, you have to have a budget in 2 months, and had people kind of show me how it always been done before. And then realizing that wasn't the best way to do things. I've worked with Manor Consterison to bring in what's really legal and better ways to do things. Started a budget committee so that, I have more eyes on it instead of me just sitting there typing in the numbers and moving forward. Yeah, I think this year's budget was very smooth, and we stayed under budget every year that I've been there. Outside jobs of that, haven't had to deal with a lot of budgets. I mean, military kind of has an endless one, so nobody really looks at it, and wasn't necessarily in charge of budgeting at any other position, but as township supervisor, I've done it 3 times now.
Any follow-up questions, Gary?
Once you mentioned that you came in under budget all the time, so has your fund balance grown the
has.
township over the time?
Yep.
Excellent.
Any follow-up questions here? So I have one for you, Dave. It's, your role is development of the budget and day-to-day management of that budget.
Mhm.
Talk to me about what you're understanding as a commissioner, what your role becomes.
I mean, obviously I wouldn't be checking BSNA daily to make sure that things are getting put in properly and stuff like that. It's more spread out with the staff. I do feel that we should be looking at the budget as we approve bills and stuff like that. Make sure that certain departments aren't going over, and if they are, finding out why. If there's budget adjustments needed, or if maybe somebody has to talk to the department head about pulling things back.
Any follow-up questions now? As before, Katie, we're getting ready to make the turn. Is there anything you want to direct us on? Anything we've missed?
No.
If not, we'll continue on. And Tim, you have number 7, please.
Explain your understanding of the Headley rollback and how it affects operational funding for Benzie County.
Okay, so yeah, I understand 1983 is when Headley went into effect. I was 4 and it wasn't in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, so I didn't really know what the atmosphere was when that got voted in, but the idea of having it roll back forever, I think was crazy. I know we recently in this last election were able to put an end date on it. And we're currently at 3 1/3% for mills and could go up to 5. And I understand as it rolls up and property values increase, I mean, the dollar amount goes up, but that same dollar amount on all of our bills goes up. So there are times where it needs to be reset, maybe not fully levied, but at least have the option to bring in money to pay the bills that go up with inflation.
Any follow-up? Follow-up questions? Bob, number 8, please.
Afternoon, Dave. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. What do you believe is Benzie County's biggest challenge?
I think housing is becoming a bigger challenge, and I understand a lot of places, you know, like in Inland Township, we have a 2.5 acre minimum. And we don't want to go away from that. I mean, that's our identity of, you know, if not farmland, at least large yards, stuff like that. And obviously God's not making more land. So I think figuring the best ways to work with that. I don't have all the answers on that yet, but I think that is probably one of our largest issues because that deals with employment and everything else. So.
Yep, thank you.
Any follow-up questions?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that first thing. I'm sorry, what did you think was the biggest challenge?
Housing.
Housing, thank you.
Rhonda,
Sure. What is your understanding of the legislative process at the local level and how would you approach crafting and implementing policy?
I mean, obviously, there's already state laws and then there's things that belong to the townships. As a county commissioner board, you should focus on county related things, whether that be different policies for inside the buildings or ordinances that want to be put in place. As far as drafting that, I think the work session meetings that the board has is kind of the idea to present originally and take in ideas and then from there have a ordinance drawn up and see if the board wants to present it. And then obviously there's the whole process with implementing an ordinance.
anything else, Rhonda? Follow-up questions? Gary, Tim? Christie? You take number 10, please.
Yes. What are your priorities for spending and investment into Benzie County?
Believe economic growth is a big one for investment. Which also, I mean, you're spending to invest it, but yeah, I mean, we have our necessary services. The townships aren't big enough to have their own police forces, so we need to make sure we fund that. There are the special millages for a lot of other things, but basically the services that the community needs that they're not going to get from the state or township level.
Any follow-up questions? Gary, number 11, please.
How would you handle a complaint from a constituent about services provided by Benzie County staff?
First I would, you know, make sure I understand their side of it. If it's not something that you know, I can explain as just a misunderstanding or whatever, then, guess I would bring it to Katie and kind of say, hey, this is what happened. And have Katie get with that department head and then re-inform the, original citizen of what was being done about it or why that happened.
Any follow-up? So Dave, you come to know me enough to know that I'm pretty direct.
Mhm.
And in the earlier interview, basically the candidate was schooled on how they should handle that.
Right.
How much did, how much did that influence your answer right now?
I would have said department head also instead of Katie,
Yeah.
but that was the only thing that changed.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have said, oh, none. So
I
that
didn't mean
was,
to do that, but I did.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's understandable. We
Right.
don't know the whole process. And yeah, I would have originally gone to that department head and said, hey, but
Sure.
not my place. Now I know that.
okay, all right. Again, I really appreciate the honesty there. The Board of Commissioners, you know, we meet twice a month.
Mhm.
You heard me say in the earlier discussion that we don't put time limits. I mean, we try not to drag it out all day, but we got an agenda to finish. Administration can't do their work unless we do our work. Second Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of the month, plus whatever township meetings you have, plus whatever assignments you're assigned to. Anything that would prevent you from being able to meet those commitments.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be the township supervisor in Inland anymore. That would take out those meetings. Well, I'd still be at those meetings, but the work day there. And then other than that, in between 6 and 7 a.m., I'm getting kids ready for school. Rest of my day is available to whatever I need to do.
Okay, and I typically would not ask this question, but you're younger than most candidates. What allows you the flexibility?
Wise investments. And I have my military pension. I'm medically retired and 100% disabled. And then, yeah, just a lot of investments. Really gotten well with crypto.
I didn't need to specific.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom line is that you're not punching the clock for anybody.
Nope.
Okay, very good. Any other questions from the Board of Commissioners that you'd like to add? Tim, please.
So,
And keep in mind that we need to ask that of the next candidate too then.
well, this is specific to him.
Thank you.
This is just general information. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. So what is Inland Township gonna do for their new supervisor?
I have talked to some people and I think there is a great candidate that is willing to step up, give up his snowbirding for a couple of years to mainly be closer to his granddaughter, but it works out well for the township too.
All right. Thank you for the question.
I asked the question because you have a responsibility of theirs.
Yes.
I want to make sure you weren't just like banning them and leaving them high and dry.
No, that happened to me. I don't want that to happen again.
So your question causes me to ask, when would you be, if you were the selected candidate, when would you be available?
I would like to do the Benzie, actually resign from the Benzie bus board at the meeting at the 20th. After that, I could swear in on the 21st.
All right, we'll deal with that if we have to,
Yeah.
if we have to, we'll cross that bridge. So you heard me ask the question earlier also. You leave the interview and you think, man, I wish they'd asked me that, or I wish I had volunteered that. Now's your chance to put it out there.
I guess that's the only other thing I left out in volunteers. I'm also a member of the Benzie bus board, the transit authority there. Not that, I mean, I literally just started this month, so like I said, I'd like to make the one meeting before I resign.
Okay. Understand. And is there anything you'd like to add, or would you, I'd invite you to get with me later if there's something about the process you think we can improve on.
Okay.
All right, so one more bite at the apple. Anything that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I'm good.
All right. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
And you know what the timelines are that we're making our decision.
Are you Taking a quick break.
We have to. Well, 12:20.
Now you're unmuted.
All right, we've already taken roll call and we're back to Marie, again, for the benefit of the group, pronounce your last name.
Wahadlo.
And we're gonna ask if, in case you're soft-spoken, there may be people joining us remotely, make sure you're speaking directly into the microphone
Okay,
so that they can participate.
theater voice.
You can pull it down towards
Pull
you.
it down to
Yeah.
the-
Is that better?
Yep.
that's good.
Very good.
And Marie's already given me permission to address her by her first name, so we've cleared that out of the way. Just so that you know, we're only making a decision on this next Tuesday at our regularly scheduled meeting. Today is all about interviews. We have 12 questions that have been prepared in advance. Each commissioner will be asking you 2 questions. Take all the time you need to answer them. There may be a follow-up question as a result of your answer. But in order for us to be consistent in how we're asking the questions, we're not really adding any questions unless it has to do with your response. At the end, I'll invite you to offer any comments that you'd like to make.
Okay.
All right? So with that, what I'd like to do, Bob, is start with you this time.
Sure.
And question number 1.
Good afternoon. Why does the position on the Board of Commissioners appeal to you?
To be involved in local politics and hopefully kind of revive an interest in local politics. I think that's happening on its own, but also to be a representative, to be a conduit. I'm not here to dictate my priorities and desires, but to actually represent people of Inland and Colfax, which is a big area.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Please tell us about your public service and volunteer background and how it relates to this appointment.
I'm currently involved in a group called LEAP. We cover multiple counties, actually, local education action partnerships. We're just people who have decided to come together to educate each other, look at issues, and kind of be our own little kind of a think tank and do what we can to help each other. Sometimes we volunteer our time amongst each other or for someone in the community that might need it. Say, you want to shovel someone's driveway or something. People have done that for me. And I have a background in volunteerism in the arts. And I've worked in theater, I've worked on a lot of different industries, and I've worked for the census. Some see that as a public service. I've worked the 2010 and the 2020.
Any follow-up questions? Christie?
Hello.
Hi.
What is your understanding of the role of Board of Commissioners as it relates to functions of Benzie County?
Administrative and oversight. And obviously the budget is huge, creating that, keeping things in check and making do with what you've got, basically, as everybody is doing these days. And you make appointments to commissions and boards. And it's like a legislative body. We're not enacting laws that I understand, but legislative in that, we're guiding the county, if that makes sense.
Any follow-up questions? If not, Gary, number 4, please.
What is your understanding of the role of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to the functions of local townships, villages, and the city?
We should be an effective liaison. We should go between and go to the meetings, report back, have a back and forth. And hopefully it's accurate and complete information. And that is the focus.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Tim, please.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
What are your goals for your service to Benzie County?
To re-engage the public and have them more aware of what goes on here. I think most people aren't aware, and to kind of be available to people, to be more proactive. I can't say I could have an office, but maybe I could have like some regular hours at a park or another location or a library and get out into the public. And I actually like that. I've done a lot of door-to-door things, canvassing, like the census. There's the good and the bad in that, and I think I've been able to handle it fairly well.
Any follow-up questions? If not, can you describe your experience with making decisions in regard to budget oversight?
Every day at home, I'm on a limited budget, absolutely limited budget. My family is not risen above middle income, and you make do with what you've got. And that's how I grew up. You make do with what you've got. And I think there's a microscope on it when you don't have a lot of money. I think you're more effective in handling money if you don't have a lot. If you add a lot of zeros, I think we get kind of numb to big numbers, because who's ever held $1 million in your hand? What is that like? I think it's also easier to let things slip by if the budget is large, and I would be here to hopefully examine what's coming in and what's going out and be very active with that.
Any follow-up questions? I have one. So you told us your experiences with your home budget, which is probably the most important thing for us. But do you have any experience in budgets related to companies, maybe as previous employers, or your understanding of the budgets as it related to municipalities?
I do not. That's one thing I stress. I won't tell you I know something if I don't.
I appreciate the honesty. It tells me a lot about a person when they're that candid. So for our previous candidates, they were people known to us. So what I'd like to do is each of you go around. Can you identify yourself and how long you've been with the commission, and any other thoughts you want to give her, just so she becomes familiar with us. But before we do that, we're again at our halfway point. As the administrator, is there anything that we've missed or you'd like to add?
Thank you.
So Bob, coming back to you.
Sure.
If you would share a little bit about yourself for Marie.
So my name's Bob Roloffs. I represent the first district, which is in Elmira Township, Lake Annie. I've been a commissioner for 8 years. You will find that this position can be very involved in the community. You can make out of it what you like or what you may, but it is a commitment, and we take this seriously. I believe all of us do. So it's a pleasure for me. We're all in this for 4 more years here, so we look forward to it. It's a joy walking in the doors on commissioner days, and everybody's here to do the work for the county. So
Thank
Very
you. Bob.
good.
yep,
Would you like to ask the question number 7?
sure. Can you explain your understanding of the Headley rollback and how it affects operational funding for Benzie County?
I believe it's complicated.
It is.
Yeah. So are all things budgetary, and taxes and the public like that. It's my understanding that there's been periods where the mill has been rolled back, and then you almost get not a ricochet, but it would kind of, what would be the word? Go from having to roll back the mill to it being, just right, or maybe in the other direction. I don't know how to fix it. I would certainly be here to listen to your experience with it. Is it coming up for a debate or for a vote? Is it coming up?
Not for a couple of years.
Not for a couple of years.
Next year.
Next year?
November of 26. And we just recently, after 40 or 50 years, finally got it back on the ballot. We're taking it in baby steps.
Okay.
But as Bob's indicated to you, it's complex.
Yeah.
And unless you've sat in those discussions, it'd be difficult to know exactly what Italy's all about.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you, I'm an expert. No.
Any follow-up questions on this question? Rhonda?
Sure. Hi.
Hi.
I've been serving as a commissioner, I believe, since 2019. I'm Rhonda Nye. Moved to Benzie County in 1979. Went to school here, moved away to go to college, and I was fortunate enough to be able to come back and raise my family here. And just love this area and our community and our neighbors, and find this a very valuable position.
What's your district number?
District 4, which is basically almost all of Benzonia Township. My friend over here, Tim, has a little corner, and I have both villages.
Okay.
Little corner,
Just a little.
little corner.
Sliver.
Don't violate her space. Would
No, hands off.
you like to ask your question?
Sure. Question number 8. What do you believe is Benzie County's biggest challenge?
Well, I think our biggest challenge is all over the country, affordable housing. And I hesitate to use the word affordable. Affordable to who? It's huge. It is a really big deal. And that goes hand in hand with employment, you know, your household income versus your bills. Same as at the county level, input versus output. I guess it'd have to be housing.
Any follow-up questions? If not, Christie?
Hi, I'm Christy Trigg, and I am District 3, and I have been on the commission less than a year. One of the things that I have found that I did not realize how much time is involved in being a commissioner, whether that's preparing for meetings, researching committees, going to county activities, what have you. I was not prepared for how much of my time that was. So that's my little bit. I did not realize how much time everybody was spending. To the question, what is your understanding of the legislative process at the local level, and how would you approach crafting and implementing policy?
Local at the county level?
So at the local level, yes, I believe that's the county level.
What is my understanding of the legislative process?
Mm-hmm. And I think, I shouldn't.
By legislative, do you mean lawmaking?
Yeah, so
I guess I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
If I
Right.
could, so we have
Yeah.
consistency. Katie, do you want to redefine that, please?
Sure. So what we're talking about here is as a board of commissioner, what is the process that you would oversee to craft and implement policy for the county? So the county government, the Benzie County government, we're ran not only by state statute and federal regulations, but then there's local policy that oversees the services and the functions that we do. You as a commissioner, what is your understanding of that process, and how would you go about implementing possible change?
I see. That helps. Thank you very much. I would hope that policies reflect the wishes of the people, of the residents. I suppose an idea could percolate up from a resident through me or someone else to the commission, or we could spot something amongst ourselves that maybe there's a need, or maybe there's a policy that's outdated that you don't need anymore. So it's a give and take. It's a process of debate, and that's how I see it.
Just any follow-up questions? Anybody else? If not, Gary, would you introduce yourself and the question, please?
I'm Gary Sauer. I've been on the commission a little over 10 years. Probably the longest serving one on this board now. My district is District 7, Weldon, Gilmore, Blaine and Joyfield. Biggest district miles wise, but probably one of the smaller population. And also the village of Thompsonville and the village of Alberta. It's been an honor to be a member of this group. It's been an honor to serve the public. Every time I go through an election, I shake my head. I can't believe I'm coming back. So, this is really not a us versus them type thing here. This is all about doing what's best for our community. And to me, that's the main focus. The other main focus I have is I don't want to burden taxpayers any more than I have to. So we make the best judgments we can. And that's, I've only been here since the day I was born. So somebody gonna say I only look about 50. But
Which was a
anyway.
long time ago.
Right.
Was there
Good
goodness?
spot.
It was close. It was close.
Do you,
But my family, I basically about a fourth in.
do you have half of Thompsonville? Do you have all of Thompsonville?
Got half of Thompsonville, the breakup right there on 669.
Yeah.
That's the other district, the one you're working for.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Be nice to get somebody there that shows up for the village. Anyway,
Let's do it.
sorry.
Gary, you want to?
I better read the question. I better quit. What are your priorities for spending and investment in Benzie County?
Gee, I don't mean to sound evasive, but I really mean this. I am but one viewpoint. I'm here to represent the people and to inform them, to take information back and forth. I think it's possible to have more than one priority. We talked about housing. That will be a tough one. But my personal priorities would be its well-being and a little more secure future. I think we all feel a little insecure right now. I know I do, with things going on in the world. And so my priority would be more of an ambiguous one, and I apologize for that, but more of a, to quote a past president, hope. Hope is based on fact too. It's not just a feeling, but to do things that instill like a good outlook. I know that sounds really like kind of maybe hippie-ish or something, but again, I'm not coming here with my agenda. I want to come here with the people's agenda. I hope you believe me.
Any follow-up questions?
Hi, I'm Tim Markey. I represent District 5. When we talk about districts, it reminds me of the Hunger Games, by the way. Just saying. Originally, I'm from Metro Detroit area. My family moved up here in 2006, and I would never move back. I've been a commissioner going into my 5th year now. So I already served 2 terms. This is my 3rd term. This is a job you, like Chrissy said, you got to spend a lot of time doing it. There's a lot of involvement, but you do get to meet a lot of the public too,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm going to jump into the question. How would you handle a complaint from a constituent about services provided by Benzie County staff?
Is that common? Do they approach commissioners directly, or is there a process in place?
So I can speak for myself. I've been approached for all sorts of kind of issues by constituents. A lot of them has nothing to do with the county, but yes, I have actually had somebody say, hey, I've had this happen to me by a staff member from the county.
I see. Well, I guess that would be step number 1 is to be aware if it is a county issue, and maybe, gently educate them at first and say, hey, that's really this, go in this other direction. This is the appropriate venue. But I also hope that there are some processes in place to resolve that. I don't think it would be up to me personally I don't think there is much of anything that's up to me personally, aside from attending the meetings and representing the people that I keep saying. But I think I would have to ask some questions. Who is the employee? Is there a supervisor that should be involved? I actually don't know the process. So I think questions would be more appropriate than any kind of immediate action.
Very good. Any follow-up questions? If not, Katie, can you share your background with her and
Sure. So I'm Katie Zeitz. I'm the county administrator for Benzie County. I've been the administrator now 4 years and a day, or been with the county 4 years and a day. I live here in Benzie County. I have now for about 10 years, and I'm raising my family here, and I strongly enjoy local government. I've worked for the township and the cities in the past. This is my first county venture, and so far it's been the most fun. The people in this building are great people. Everyone really is in it for the right reasons to do good for our community. And so I'm very happy and I'm very proud to serve Benzie County.
All right.
thank you, Katie.
Mhm.
So I'm in my 5th term as a commissioner. I raised my family here. We've been here approaching 30 years and have had various businesses. Benzie County's been very good to us. With respect to the commission, I echo what everybody's saying. I think that there's a strong commitment that you have to make in order to be able to represent the community properly. This is a very well-functioning board, and I couldn't be more proud to say that. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't. So much so that you'll run into some boards where someone's been in the chair or leadership role for 20 years. We've agreed that all of us are capable, and in the 9th year that I'm here, I'm the 3rd chair. Gary's been chair, Bob has been chair, Rhonda's been vice chair maybe a couple of times. So we believe in sharing the leadership role because no one person has all the answers.
Right.
So that's kind of my take in a nutshell about government and making sure we share responsibilities. When we talk about time commitment, the Board of Commissioners meets twice a month. We meet the 2nd Tuesday and the 4th Tuesday of each month. We don't really try to put a timeline on our meetings. It is all driven by the agenda. The agenda is all driven by what's the need. Because if we're not getting things done at this level, we're roadblocking staff. And staff then is sitting idly. In addition to that, we have, in your position, you would have at least 2 other township meetings that you'd be attending, plus any assignments that you have, plus any meetings that you think would be appropriate to go to that would benefit your working knowledge of the community. With that said, can you accommodate the schedule?
Yes.
Can you meet the demand of being at these meetings, whether they be early morning or later in the evening?
Yes, absolutely. And to what Christy said about the time commitment, as an artist, I work on projects where after the fact, I realize how intense of a commitment it really was, but I follow my passion. I do it because I want to and not tick away the hours of the day. I'm not doing that. In fact, I try to go to bed at night and feel satisfied. Did I get something done? Did I accomplish anything? And some days I'll push myself for longer hours just to get that satisfaction, to get something done in the day. That's how I approach it, kind of day by day. I'm not looking at the hours.
So Maria, I asked this of another candidate earlier. You're clearly younger than I am, and I'm wondering, do you have any obstacles like having to punch a clock that would prevent you from attending meetings that are already scheduled and they don't schedule them around your availability, but their own?
No, and I don't travel much either.
Okay.
No conflicts.
Okay. And I only identify that because I'm retired. So I have the freedom. That's why I asked the question.
I'm aging too. I'm getting up there.
Good news is we're aging, right? I'd like to open it up now. Is there any additional questions that anybody would like to add?
No?
So we're at the part of the meeting where, as I say to each candidate, I've been in a lot of interviews, both sitting in this role and sitting in that role. And oftentimes you're leaving that and you're thinking, I wish they'd give me a chance to ask this question or provide this information, or I wish I had said this differently. Now's your chance. Is there anything that you'd like to add to this interview that maybe we've not given you, we've not tried to draw out of you?
I'm a little concerned that there aren't more questions. Maybe you're tired after lunch or I couldn't have possibly covered everything. That's my line of thought. I mean, as you probably know, I ran against Warseki in the last election, so I have hundreds of votes of support out there in the community, and I've been meeting people, and I'm qualified. I'm a resident in Colfax, that is, actually the Colfax half of Thompsonville, and I'm registered to vote in a U.S. citizen. And I'm not sure if you need documented proof of that, but here I am telling you these things. And I guess I am curious if I could ask, why did Commissioner Warseki resign or retire, whatever the case may be?
That'd be a question you'd have to present to him.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I'd hate to misrepresent it.
Sure. Yeah, no one likes that. Yeah. Anything, anybody?
Anything else?
May I check my notes? How do you all feel about the housing issue? Is that on the top of your list as well? Are there other priorities that are competing for attention? How do you see the county? Anybody have some thoughts that way?
So I appreciate the question. You'll find those kind of answers in our master plan and our strategic plan. But in brief, Christy, do you want to respond?
Sure. The Economic Development and Brownfield Authority has been working to address that. We've had Housing North, I believe it was, come and address us. And we've asked them to also, I believe they've also come to the EDC. We've had some folks come to us specifically, and we've referred them to the EDC. So that is on our on the big priority list for the EDC. And we're working to make a public-private partnership with the EDC, and the Chamber of Commerce. So we're looking to make that even a greater
Synthesis?
I suppose. So yes, we've been putting a lot of priority on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything you want, anybody else wants to add to that?
Just that we took a lot of ARPA money and developed a couple of major projects in the community, so it's not going unnoticed. It's just one of those things that's difficult to get to. We did the one in Frankfurt, the one in Otter. Quite possibly, we're gonna do one over there by Crystal Mountain,
Do one what?
Housing.
a
project.
housing thing like they did in Frankfurt. The
I
apartment.
see.
There's gonna be one if everything goes all right at the end of the airport in the Thompsonville Airport. So
Okay.
Crystal Mountain's proper. So it's not that it's not being noticed, it's just very difficult to do and funding's hard to get.
Yeah.
But I want people to know that we've accomplished a lot.
We have, we've been a big part of some of these initiatives and quite frankly, not gotten the media attention, but we've not sought it. We probably should seek it more because we'll partner with private groups that are getting things done. Katie, in the last 4 to 5 years, roughly how much has the county spent in some of these housing initiatives?
If you factor in the amount of ARPA dollars we've allocated, staff time and meetings and other, facilitation of the process, at least $1 million.
The county has been a partner with not only the Frankfurt Area Land Trust, but Homestretch. Our land bank has provided properties to Habitat for Humanity. All these things have been partnerships, private-public partnerships that have resulted in housing. So sometimes these efforts are one house at a time, other times it's several units, but there is progress being made.
Mhm.
Perhaps not at the speed that we would like, but there is forward motion.
Yeah, never at the speed we like.
We also are setting up infrastructure, broadband, making it more so people would want to build here as well. In fact, Benzie County has been like the poster child of rural broadband expansion,
Hmm.
as our county administrator got to sit on some boards during some conferences because of that.
And we're also very aware of the importance of other kinds of infrastructure, be it sewer, water, these things, there are needs in our county. And, it's some townships, some districts have water and not sewer, others have it the opposite way. These are things we need to address as well, be a partner in. That's
Okay.
on our radar as well.
Yeah, very good.
So Katie, in the last 5 years, if you include private investment, how much do you think the county has encouraged in terms of dollars towards broadband?
Oh, broadband. If we're successful in any BEAD funding with all the private public partnerships, we're at well over $20 million.
So the county, again, we haven't looked for the attention, but the county's been the catalyst to all of this, starting in 2000, it probably goes back to 17, but more active in 19 going forward. And the investments, both in time and money that the county's made, has been able to attract a lot of private and grant dollars. Again, I'll repeat myself. I think we don't do an adequate job of getting media attention for that. But what we're really more interested in is outcome.
Right, right. Yeah.
Bree,
Huh.
any other questions that you'd like to put to us?
You said you're gonna make a decision next week at the regular meeting, correct?
That's correct. At the morning meeting, it'll be part of our agenda. It'll be an action item.
Okay. And how will people be contacted?
I believe the clerk, does the clerk do that?
I can.
Yeah, phone call? Okay,
And Tammy, you said the two of you had met before, right?
yeah. How do you handle if a commissioner takes a vacation? It happens.
Takes vacation. Rhonda, do you want to field that?
Well, we are elected officials, so there's no policy that dictates what we can and can't do in that regard. What you try to do is plan your vacations around your meeting times, but if something falls on a date, you give as much notice as possible. I have always zoomed into the meetings when I can attend, just so I can stay on top of what's being discussed, but there isn't anything that prohibits a board member from going on vacation if there is a meeting. They have that discretion.
I see. Okay. Come to think of it, with meetings 2 weeks apart, I would be really lucky to have a vacation longer than that. It's been a long time too.
So there are commissioners, myself included, that, you may miss a meeting or two during the course of the year. We have board rules that speak to these things. And again, I would invite you to, I believe you can find those board rules on the website. Is that right?
Okay, very good, very good. I don't think I have anything else except to say, I've been called a Renaissance woman. I have a background in a lot of different industries, including agriculture, food service, federal government, construction, healthcare, the arts, publishing, service industries. Sometimes I'm called jack of all trades. So I don't have one particular focus. I have my hand in a lot of areas, a lot of varied experience. I hope that's valuable. And like I say, I wouldn't be counting the hours. I know it's a commitment and it's very serious. And as an artist, someone with creative ideas, I consider myself a troubleshooter. I think those things go hand in hand. creativity and troubleshooting, problem solving. I think I'd like to say I can always come up with something. It may be a little off the wall, but sometimes that's the answer. Off the wall is the answer sometimes. Not always, sometimes. But I think I can always come up, I'm never at a dead end. I'll come up with an idea of some kind. And I'd just like to bring that spirit.
I would like a follow-up on that,
Please.
if you wouldn't mind. We did not have an actual application. We had a cover letter that you presented, but you've now mentioned three things: the federal government, agriculture, construction. Did you want to elaborate on any of those and your experience in any of those fields?
Well, in the agriculture area, I've worked on a tree farm locally. My mom was born on a farm. My grandparents went through the Great Depression on their farm. They moved to Detroit. Grandpa worked for the war effort. So I'm not a big city girl, and the federal government was the census experience that I've mentioned. I've been insulted, chased, videotaped, bitten by German shepherds.
Did you bite back?
No. No. They were big dogs. But I think I came through it and in a calm manner. And what was another area you'd like to hear about?
Construction?
Construction. Healthcare. The healthcare is in the background. I've worked at nursing homes and a hospital. I did that right after high school. And the construction, I'm a trained tile setter if you need that, if you happen to need some tiles somewhere. But I'm good with power tools, not that has anything to do with anything here. But I'm not a stranger to, like work sites and getting dirty and what it takes to actually build, say, a house. I know exactly what it takes to build a house. And then I have 2 art degrees, so that goes back to the creativity and the troubleshooting.
Very good. Thank you, Rhonda. Any other comments or questions? One last bite at the apple. Anything else you want to say?
Well, I guess I'd rather be prodded with questions.
The questions were designed to give us enough information
Oh, okay.
to understand how you would fit into the role.
Okay. Well, maybe some of my questions would be answered, like you say, in the master plan or in the minutes, or in a session, not in this particular, interview venue, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
So as I've invited other applicants, if there's something about the process that we can improve on, I'd invite you to give me a call after the fact, and I'd welcome your input.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I would mention now that I think about it is, as I indicated in my letter of interest, I don't believe a resume is appropriate because as a candidate for commissioner, you're not asked of a resume. In fact, you get out there and you talk more in depth than a resume with the people. I don't think a resume is appropriate. And if it would be required, I think it should be required of everybody, not just some. So that's my belief.
Yeah, it was, by the way, Marie.
Was what?
All applicants were required. It was stated in the posting.
Well, but it's not required of candidates for commissioners. I don't think
I don't want to be argumentative.
No.
But as you just agreed, you're giving your resume every time you meet with a group.
That's true.
And what does the resume do? It answers questions that Rhonda just asked that you didn't offer initially, but that will have no bearing on our decision,
Okay, very good. All right.
or certainly won't on mine. Let me put it that way.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Bear with me just a minute. There's a cookie or you can-
They're still going.
All
to
right.
1:30.
Anybody from the public want to make comment?
They're running.
I can't, running away. I can't stop them fast enough. If not, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I'll second. Second, Any opposed?